It's Handy Val. This video is about rust protection on the Mercedes R129. Nothing is worse than rust on a car. It's unsightly and significantly reduces the car's value. So follow along as I show a few simple steps to keep the rust away and where to look for it so you can catch it quickly and fix it. If you're thinking of buying an R129, you could use this video as an R129 rust guide. I'm going to cover a number of rust areas for this car, but I'm starting off with the biggest and most prone area to rust. It is around the wheel wells, and in particular around this spot and that spot. The earlier models were less prone to rusting around here, but anecdotally, the newer R129s after the merger with Chrysler are said to be more prone to rust. This is really only noted with the front wheel wells where they seem to hold dirt, and then where there's dirt, there's typically moisture, the key ingredient that starts the rusting process. For the later models, maybe it's a combination of a slight, or the newer models, maybe it's a combination of a slight design flaw and slightly worse or cheap metal use, but I can't confirm this. It's just anecdotal. To inspect this area, use a mirror as I'm doing now. You'll notice that there's a plastic piece right there, if you can sort of see where my popsicle stick is. And then there's a rubber piece, and then there's metal. Metal, rubber, and a plastic piece. So this piece of plastic works wonders to keep the rust out by keeping the elements away. Whereas this rubber piece here ensures that no water or the elements seep into behind the plastic piece. So you really only need to protect this lip here only, as this is the only metal piece, or really only the metal exposed piece. For this application around the wheel well, you need a liquid rust spray, such as this Crown. Something like a fluid film is great, but not for this application as it's too thick, and if you spray it in the wheel well, it may not get everywhere. I love fluid film, undercarriage, great, and other areas, but not here. We need something more liquidy, something that will get into every nook and cranny. You can sort of see me here, and I'm just going to just show a little bit of it. You can sort of see the spray, and I'm just going to kind of just, the idea is to get within this piece down here. And you spray liberally, and I'm going to remove the mirror now. So again, you're going to get this piece, you're going to scrape it up, you're going to want to get it right in there and just spray liberally. And now the other thing is, when you come into this angle here, you're going to also want to make sure you get into the gap, right? You get into the gap. Maybe if you come in from this side over here, okay, you can sort of see that. I'm going to get into the gap and spray. Okay, and you're going to want to do the same thing on this side here as well. Turn the spray around like that and just spray it in. And again, the very critical part is right over here in this corner right here, and that's where you kind of really want to get in with the stick. Push it into, there's a plastic, still that plastic cover, and you want to get behind the plastic cover and spray liberally. Just keep spraying liberally. And the idea is that you want to get it right into this corner here. So when you're thinking about dirt, whatnot, etc., it kind of creeps itself and kind of lands there, and that's usually a very big rust spot. Alright, so we're going to be focusing on the back wheel right now, and if you could tell here, the back wheel, it actually has the plastic actually going all the way down, but this piece is still exposed, and you're going to want to do the same thing with the fluid, with the Crown, and you're going to want to kind of push it into the gap as much as you can. Keep pushing it. If there's the getting it in there, and again, here's the most critical part of them all. A little bit hard to film, but I think you understand what I mean. You're getting this guy right in there, and you're spraying it. And you're going to want to do the same thing over on this side, because again, there's a little bit of a ledge here, and you want to try to get into that ledge. Okay, there's the plastic, so you're going to fight with a little bit with the plastic. You try to squeeze it out with your fingers, and then spray this in there. All right, so we're here in the front wheel well. There's also areas, I mean, the plastic covers a lot of it. Plastic piece here covers a lot of it, but there's also areas down there that you may want to get to as well. You certainly may want to inspect. Now, when I had at one point taken the tire off, I had sprayed fluid film in there, and you could kind of tell it's still kind of sticking around. Okay, but you also want to inspect that as well. So even if you live in warm climates, you should do this. It's not always salt that kills. It can also be a rock that somehow manages to bounce off the tire and scratch the metal, and now it's an open wound on the metal, and moisture will attack it and likely start the rust process. Now, the downside of all of this is that this stuff drips. So you want to make sure that you kind of cover the tire and you cover, you know, maybe your driveway or your garage floor. I like to do this once a year. The most critical time is that this be done in the spring. Spring is the most active time for rust creation. Now I'll touch upon the other common rust spots to be aware of. We'll start off with the trunk. First, the battery tray. None of this is in any particular order. When you remove the battery, you could really assess the situation. It's usually battery acid that drips and can cause corrosion. Down there, you could use something like a fluid film instead of the thinner crown. And you could kind of, without taking the battery out, you may be able to have a look just to see, you know, from this side, just to assess the situation without actually fully removing the battery to see if you need to remove the battery. Second is the spare tire well. Now, depending on the condition of the trunk seals, water may puddle in the spare tire area. Further, prior owners sometimes when removing the spare tire or the tools may scratch the metal, starting a rust spot. For this area, rust paint, if you do spot rust, or simply applying fluid film, as I have, if you actually look down there, you could sort of see it. It's kind of sticky and tacky. That's fluid film. And to really inspect the area, you really need to remove the tire. Remove this nut. It's kind of awkward. It's heavy as well, removing the tire. There's also the hydraulic pump for the roof. You got a couple of screws. You remove that, and you could really kind of inspect the area. Behind this chrome piece, I had some simple surface rust that I rectified with sandpaper, then a rust primer, and then some simple rust-proof paint. Also, when taking out these 3 screws, you want to make sure you dip them in grease. Any type of grease will do. 3 screws holding this together, this piece just comes off. And just to show you what I had done for it, you could sort of see I had done some primer and rust paint, and you can sort of see even there. I mean, that looks like rust, but that's actually just the grease that I'd put in there into the holes. So you just want to have a quick look here as well. Now on the passenger side door, I didn't have any of these issues. It was just on the driver's side. Jack hole covers are very common. Have a look, but be careful with these plastic covers as you don't want to break them or scratch them. Spraying fluid film here is good to do so here, but don't spray too much as it will drip in the hot weather. I like to use my finger here if you can, as opposed to using a tool. There's a little bit of a gap there, as you can sort of see there, okay? And you're just kind of gonna go in there with your finger and just pry it open, okay? And you're gonna wanna go and look in there, okay? Now, in terms of this one, I thought I had done it, but it's also a good idea to spray some fluid film in there, and I'm going to do that right now. Hardtops can also corrode if they are of the steel kind. Now remember, there's 2 types of hardtops. There's the aluminum and there's also a steel one. I don't have mine at this location here, but notably at the B pillar there can be rust, so you may want to look there. The license plate bulb area is another area, notably on the newer cars. I think this is more related to rainwater somehow seeping into the trunk and puddling in this area. So have a look there as well. Now I've got a video on particularly how to remove the license plate bulb, and that'll sort of give you a very good sense of just what's behind there. Under the door panels, you'll want to have a look as well. The reason here, and I think what you'll notice too, is that rainwater sometimes puddles on the sill. And that kind of leaves this area around the door panel a little bit prone to rust. And I'll show you what you need to look for. You're kind of looking underneath there. Now, that's not rust. I mean, this car was rust-proofed when it was purchased. I've got those papers, and that's kind of the old rust-proof paint that was there. But you're going to want to look underneath here to see if there's any indication of rust. And if you do see rust here, you want to remove these plastic Bruno Sacco panels also to investigate even closer. In this video, I don't focus on the underneath of the car, but the underside of an R129, just like any other car, may show rust. But all R129s are built considerably better than other car brands, and even better than most Mercedes models. So rust has a tougher time taking hold. And you could hit most areas freely with fluid film, just by kind of, without even jacking the car, just by kind of going underneath the car with your hand, maybe a mirror, and spraying fluid film. Now you want to make sure you keep it away from rubber bushings and rubber parts. One part that is also very prone to rusting is the heat shield. I made a video on this as a piece broke off and caused an annoying rattle. I'll include the YouTube link for this video in the description. Let me know in the comments section of this video if I missed any other rust areas. It would be great if we can use this video, the R129 community can use this video and the comments below as an amazing source or resource for everyone on R129s and their rust. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and share. If you aren't a subscriber to the HandyVal DIY Auto channel, please consider doing so. I'd appreciate that. Also, don't forget to check all the other HandyVal videos on Mercedes and Mercedes R129. Thanks for watching, HandyVal. Bye for now.